just finished up, as in I have just finished up with the STR Summit. So this podcast episode, this is going to be kind of some straight storytelling. Like there's a lot that goes behind this one specific conference. So for anyone who doesn't know, the STR Summit is a real estate investing conference specifically for short-term rentals. So yeah, this podcast is going to be all about the summit, what it's like to actually go to a conference. And I'm also going to be giving you a really big life update, which is also just especially fun because the life update like happened at the STR Summit and it really just feels like things are coming around full circle right now. Okay, so what is the STR Summit? The STR Summit is a conference hosted by my dear friends, Tony and Sarah Robinson. If you don't know them, they are the Real Estate Robinsons on YouTube and on Instagram. They got started investing in real estate like during COVID, like at the early stages of COVID. And their story is incredible. So you should go ahead and like check them out on YouTube. Like they have probably the best short-term rental advice and information on their YouTube channel. So go ahead and check it out. I also did like an interview episode with them at their studio in California there. So also go check that out. Maybe I'll actually put that on the podcast at some point. But so yeah, if you do not know my story, so in 2022, I was extremely depressed. Like literally, I was on antidepressants. I hated my job. I was doing everything I possibly could to figure out how to get out of my job. And at the time, I only had one property. And no, actually, we're going to take out that word only because we do not say only here. I had one property. And honestly, that one property was freaking incredible. That one property covered all of my living expenses and it cash flowed on top of that too. So yeah, not only one property, like that property slayed and still slays. But yeah, in my brain, I just had it in my mind that I needed to reach $10,000 a month of cash flow in order to quit my job and go do the things I actually wanted to do. I feel like if you're listening to this, you may have that goal right now. You're just like, I just need $10,000 a month in cash flow. And I was kind of in the same boat. That's a lot of people's like initial milestone is to reach that $10,000 a month mark. And sometimes when you start looking into it, you're like, that's going to take a little longer than I expected. So at the time, I was like, okay, well, I don't really like my job. Maybe I can find another job that I'll be in for 1 or 2 years and then I'll quit. I don't know. I was really just kind of like trying to figure out what the best method was. So I was applying to a bunch of different jobs, like not in my engineering field, in a completely different field, which like in hindsight, I was self-sabotaging because at the end of the day, I didn't actually want a job. But so I remember there was this one day. So if you don't know, in New Orleans has festivals and events happening every single weekend. And there was this one festival called Red Dress Run. And my place in New Orleans is really close to the French Quarter. So I had like a pregame thing at my house. And then we went to the French Quarter to go party. But this thing starts really early. So it starts at like 10 in the morning. So everyone comes over around 10. We pregame. No one's had breakfast. I didn't provide food. I was being a cheap ass, basically. And then we all are just like incredibly drunk going to the French Quarter. And I actually end up having a panic attack because I'm just looking around and I don't want this to be my life anymore. Like I was just so frustrated with the life that I was living. I didn't want to be working in corporate America anymore. I don't think I really wanted to even be drinking anymore. I was just drinking because there was like the only thing that I could hold on to, right? It was like self-soothing and self-numbing more than anything else. But so yeah, I have this panic attack because I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I don't want to be here, yada, yada, yada. And then I just like bail and run home. I think I just like started running and then called myself an Uber and went home and just sulked on the couch for the rest of the day. And I'm blackout drunk at this point. But the crazy thing, so at this time, Tony and Sarah Robinson were hosting the STR Summit. Like that was going to be happening in a few weeks. And I remember I'd actually sent a message to Sarah. I was like, I really want to go, but I'm thinking I should probably save my money for another property. Like, I don't think I can afford the summit, yada, 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 because overall it'd be like probably a couple $1,000s for me to go with the ticket and the flight and the accommodation. I was like, oh no, I don't know if I should spend that. And I don't think I can spend that. I don't think I can afford it. And they were doing a giveaway. So I actually signed up for this giveaway, blackout drunk. So I don't remember. I have no recollection of signing up for this giveaway, but me in my depressed state, for some reason, was scrolling on Instagram and decided to sign up for this giveaway. And it's so funny because then 3 days later, I get this video from Tony and he's like, congratulations, Olivia, you just won tickets to the STR Summit. And I'm like, I won tickets to what? When did I sign up for this? Right? And the funny thing is, in that moment, I just knew I had to go. There was no freaking question about it. This was the universe telling me that I needed to go. I needed to go change my life. It was almost like a test. Like, am I going to go and step into the person that I knew I needed to be? I knew I was becoming. And so I took vacation days. I booked my flight. I booked my accommodation. I even invited one of my friends to come because I think I had 2 free tickets. And so at this point, I'm still a few $1,000s out, because if you don't know, like, flights and accommodation, especially at the hotels, if you stay at the hotels, they tend to be, a good chunk of change, usually up to $1,000. But I did not care because I was so committed. I was so determined. I was like, sure, I may be out like a couple $1,000s, but what will this couple $1,000s get me in the long run? Like, this is a sign from the universe for me to take control of my freaking life and go for it. And guys, like, that one conference, me saying yes to myself, changed my freaking life. Okay. Like, seriously changed my life. I put my 2 weeks notice in. Well, I actually gave 3 weeks, but I put my 3 weeks notice in a couple of weeks after that summit. I was like, no, just being in the room, being in the energy with other people who are doing it, seeing other people, regular people just like me doing the thing that I wanted to do. I was like, this is the environment that I need to be in. And so I was committed and I jumped full in, went for it. And the next 2 years were a freaking whirlwind. If you've been following me on all the socials, you know that the last 2 years have been an absolute whirlwind for me. Okay. And it all started with going to that one conference and getting in the room. And right after that, I signed up for their coaching program. I was committed. I was going to do the damn thing and whatever it took. And it's crazy because now we're 2 years down the line and it's like we've come back full circle, and they were doing the conference here in Denver. And I happened to be here in Denver. I was like, absolutely, I will come. Of course. And it's so incredible because I could just see that same switch that was happening in my brain happening for so many people at this STR Summit this last week or this week. Like, I could see the energy. I could see the brain switch. I know that there are people who are coming up from that summit whose lives are being changed, who signed up for the coaching program, whose lives are completely being changed for the better just because they got in the room. Okay. And it's so funny because I look at other people in my life. So my copywriter, Brent, he is awesome. But it's so funny because if he hadn't put himself into spaces where he'd for example, gotten in contact with me right when I needed it to become my copywriter, he wouldn't have been able to quit his job a few months later because I was able to give him so much business to the point where now he's not even taking any more clients, but he had to go and put himself out there. He had to go and get in the room. He had to go be brave and commit and sign up for the programs and do the things to show the universe that he was ready to up level into this new phase of his life. Or I think about one of my students, Devlin, who I'm so freaking proud of. She signed up for WWA, my coaching program, and she's literally looking at her third property, in less than 6 months. She's looking at her third property to buy, a duplex. And I'm like, oh my goodness, if you hadn't started with this coaching program, if you hadn't have gotten in the room, she would not be where she is today. And this is the power, y'all. Go to the conference, sign up for the coaching program, do the damn thing, because you have no idea how much your life is going to change. And it's also, so this is where the life update is coming, okay? Because it's so crazy to think, because that first summit spearheaded everything for me for the next 2 years, okay? Because when I look at the timeline and the alignment of things, it's honestly wild. Because I went to that first conference and because it impacted my life so much, I went on a conference rampage. I went to HostCon in Houston, and then I went to the STR Wealth Conference, and I went to Nashville for another conference. But yeah, so I went to the STR Wealth Conference, and this was in 2021 in February. And there I met the Good Neighbor Realty team. And now the Good Neighbor Realty team, they are a short-term rental specific real estate brokerage in Colorado. Amazing, right? Because your girl loves Colorado. She already had it in the back of her mind that she was going to be moving to Colorado and at least buying a property there, right? But at the time, I wasn't in the place to buy a property in Colorado, but I had connected with these folks who are now some dear friends of mine. And now they're my realtors as well. And life update, I'm under contract in Colorado on my house hack, on my property that I've been manifesting and talking to y'all about for the last, few months pretty much. And it's like, if I hadn't have started going to the conferences, I wouldn't know what the numbers really looked like here in Colorado. I wouldn't have known it was even possible. But because I kept getting myself in the room and around people who were doing it, that is what led me to where I am today. But yes, y'all, I am under contract. Let's freaking go. Let's freaking go. I'm not going to be sharing the property with y'all yet. I want to close, but do not worry. I have been documenting the entire process. You'll get to see the property. You'll get to see my vision and my idea with it. Like this property is going to be such an incredible one. And I cannot wait to share the entire journey with you. There's going to be like YouTube specific videos about it. We'll see. Like, at least that's what I think I'm going to do is like a few YouTube specific videos so you can actually see things, right? I love doing the podcast, but the beauty of YouTube is you do have the video portion of it, you know? But yeah, it all started with going to that first conference, okay? It all started with buying those first properties. You just need to get started. You just need to get into the room. You just need to get into the energy. Because when you start surrounding yourself with people doing bigger things than you, you're going to start to see yourself doing those big things too. And it's so funny because if you've been listening to the podcast, you know, like about a month ago or less than a month ago, I posted a podcast episode about how like some of the struggles that I was facing right now during my journey, just like I'm in Colorado. I've been doing these home exchanges and just kind of like bumping from one house to another. I haven't really been feeling super stable, right? I haven't had a home. I had all of my stuff in my car. And that was kind of giving me a little bit of anxiety, but I also knew that like deep down, I knew in myself that I was going to be able to get under contract this summer. I knew I was going to be able to get under contract and close on a property. And this is where that kind of like delusional confidence and knowing, that inner knowing that the thing that you want, the things that you want to accomplish in life are going to happen. You just have to keep the faith. You have to surround yourself with people who are doing the things that you want to do. So expanders, people that are going to expand your mindset and make sure that you stay on track. And you just have to have delusional confidence in yourself. So this is why we get into the rooms, y'all. This is why we do the coaching programs. This is why we take all of these stepping stones to get to where we need to go. So get into the rooms. You never know which one is going to be the right one. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to DM me if you liked it, if it resonated. I know some of y'all have been DMing me, and that makes me so happy that you're listening to the podcast, you're resonating with the podcast. Please share this with a friend or a family member or anyone, literally anyone, because it helps just get my podcast out there too, because we are trying to grow this thing. We just hit 2,000 downloads, which is like 2,000 listens, which is incredible because it's only been a couple months, y'all. And I know we can get to 10,000 before the end of the year. So let's freaking go. Okay, bye, fam. Thank you so much for listening to Wanderlust Wealth Show. Now, don't forget to follow the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you love this episode, it would literally mean the world to me if you shared this with a friend or a family member, or literally like anyone off of the street. Like right now, go ahead, share it so you don't forget, or post it on social media and make sure to tag me. I love seeing what you're listening in on and what you resonated with, and I'm just so freaking thankful for you. I'm so freaking excited for you. I love you, and don't forget, life really doesn't have to be hard.